I've watched my own videos, and it's really difficult because after seeing what I say, I always want to correct myself. Like I see certain things I should have said or didn't elaborate on enough or misspoke. Like in the last one, I noticed, for example, I said that I was working at the Cheesecake Factory while I was cheering for the Colts and going to school and having an internship at Sim2K Technology Consultants. But I instead I was working at Charlie's. So there are certain times like, and then one time I said another word like misbalanced instead of unbalanced. Like my point in pointing this out and starting in this video is that how natural mistakes are, how when we see people do speeches on TV who are, you know, said to be really intelligent, are top intelligent people, right? These must be the best, or they wouldn't have made it to the best jobs, get paid the most money, and be visible like they are, right? That's what we assume. But their speeches are often written by someone else. So there are a lot of people hiding behind the chess pieces, or hiding behind the, that are puppeteering who we see. And if you just look at the news or anything else as just like a drama show, like you do any other soap opera, because everything's a soap opera, even football's a soap opera. Like when I listen to my friend tell me stories about football, I feel like I'm listening to a Days of Our Lives episode or something. That was like the soap opera I used to watch anyway. So there's drama in everything because drama means life. Like when you're making decisions and moving, like things happen. And so it's dramatic because, you know, there are important things in life and everything is important. Everyone has things that are important to them and that they would, you know, that they take very seriously. So this just so happens to be mine. And mistakes that are made, like from just being a human being, because okay, it is what it is. I made mistakes. I didn't spend as much time on my education when I was there as I should have and get better grades and know everything my teachers taught me. Like if we could all be perfect to, you know, remember or comprehend or, you know, what's the other word I'm looking for? Absorb 100% of what we're taught, like that would be, we would be a computer. But now smartphones and Google have made it easier for us to be smarter, quicker, without having to do all the groundwork and all that. So if I could have went to college for just the classes I was interested in, or had like a life school, because we don't, like, it's great that they teach us about subjects and stuff, but I would love like a life school, like something that prepares for like what you really face out there and how to dodge those bullets. And you know, church I think was meant to do that and religions were meant to do that, but teaches us just how to be that's what I'm talking about, is like the illusion of the separation between church and state, you know, is that they, you know, it manipulates. It's a manipulating, and that's people. That isn't God. And like, so if you want to say that the Bible is God, that this written word is God, then that's why I made Galatians and Romans. I'm like, okay, well then, if you're going to translate this love letter that's supposed to be an individual love letter to each of us, and you want to collectively, you know, a bunch of people jump on a bandwagon and say, yeah, we agree. And then, you know, if you're someone who has to give 10% to the church, you know, 20 some percent to taxes, then you have to pay a state tax, then you have to pay on our state tax, and then you have to pay sales tax, and then you have to pay oh boy, keep it together here. Oh, loans. Okay, so then you don't have money to get an apartment and put the security loan down and go out and furnish it. So you start out and you go do that. You put yourself to a slave immediately by buying all that stuff ahead of time because you need it, and then you're paying percentage of, interest on top of that. And then, so it's like, okay, so already right there, like all that's first. And then whatever you have left is then you have food that you have to go buy, and then gas you have to put in your car, and a phone you have to pay for, and internet and TV you have to turn on, and then kids and everything. I mean, I don't know how people do it. And then the list goes on from there. And then if you get to a point in this new wonderful fantastic job that you just got right out of high school, or right out of college, you're so excited and ready for the, chance to do all these things you dreamed about for 4 years while you were going through school, what you were going to do with your degree, who you're going to be, and then you just get this huge, gigantic slap in the face as to what it really is like. And then you're, make a few early mistakes, and then that's all it takes. So no matter how perfect I try to be by freestyling, because that's why the documentary, when I start posting those, whenever I know I keep talking about it, but I'm scared because I don't want to show this side of me very much at all. Like it's a very nerve-wracking. I debate whether I should, because like it will permanently shoot me in the foot. And what am I gonna do? And what is this all for? And it is important to me. And if it doesn't work, if I don't get these higher ups' attentions by doing it, and it doesn't work, then I am no better off. Which isn't good, because my friend can't take care of me forever, and the fact that I didn't go to the interview I had today isn't going to be good news to that person who has been supporting me through this time. And I tell him how important this is to me, and although I know he just is supportive of me, I don't think he necessarily agrees with what I'm doing either, so that's scary to me, to think that it might not work and that I'm doing it anyway. So when you see the worst, that people it might definitely not work, because people just think I'm some huge hypocrite, when I'm trying to show you why Jesus died for us and why we're not supposed to be paying attention to all that stuff so much, and why we have to feel like we have to hide it as a result. I wouldn't have to go pay counselors to be able to listen to me. If I could just be open with the people around me, and then they wouldn't turn around and use that shit as ammunition against me somehow, or add to it and spread gossip about me, or, when I change and it still hold me to that same person, and then I'm unable to change. That's why I move around different environments, because if I stay in any one environment too long, I feel like I stay the same. And if I wanted to stay there, I would. I'm never judging anyone for what they want. I'm just saying I haven't found any place I want to stay yet, in jobs, everything. That's what turned me into a journalist, because one question led to another, and I just am endlessly curious, and I feel like I can't rest because of what I already know, and so I'm still thirsty to get more evidence, collect more things, but I don't have I don't have much time left. That's why I think it's a trick that we don't have any time or money. Like, we use all of our money to get the things that we need to live, and we really don't own them, because we have to just keep paying bills on them that makes that shit that we bought more expensive because of the high, interest rates, and the poor people ironically have the worst interest rates that don't help them at all. Rich people can have like 0% interest rate on everything because their credit's so good. My credit's bad, but I don't have like any credit card debt on there. Well, I had like a $500 limit card that I maxed out that's on there. That's probably like $1,000 some now with all the fees. Same with like a T-Mobile phone and an AT&T. And Verizon was the first one I think I ended up, because they get to a point where I can't pay for something, or I lose a job, or I leave a job, or whatever. So I lose. That's what I meant by losing tools. But then that ultimately cost me. So my credit's bad because of little things, like having to move and not being able to pay the last bill on something, and that was before deposits on like electric bills. I'm in process of getting my newest credit report, because now this car that was stolen from me is on my credit, and so I need that and fresh what it did to my credit now, still having that loan on there, and I'm not paying it. So I say that was I noticed. So that's me trying to get back on track. I just am trying to ask for the explanation of the gap, I think. Like between the extremes of either side. Like what I talk about most is this extremes. Not everyone can't put food on their table. Like, the middle class is just the ones really carrying the brunt, though. And I think that's what makes them so angry, because I think they're angry at me. I mean, people are angry at me. Clearly, I haven't been this is the longest I've not had a job. There have been a couple other times I haven't had it, or I've had help at the same time. I had like a serving job that I couldn't pay all my bills, and I had some help at that time. But because I smoke weed and speak out, people don't want to support people like that. So I've lost that. Those are the bridges I've burned, which I just burn bridges by being myself. But in choosing not to, stay in something I don't like, or that's making me into a demon, because that's what ultimately happens when I'm somewhere and then too long I don't want to be. I just turn into a version of myself I don't like. So, sorry. The gap is I'm explaining two extreme differences, and then the middle class is still like extremely far, from what I've been able to see, because it takes a long time to get to the top, and I don't think people can fathom the level of wealth until you see it. And it's like heaven. And when the Bible talks about heaven and there being a city reserved for those people, and all this, it paints the picture of heaven. That's what that place is like. But God's not the one deciding who gets into that city. And there are no gates to that city. So to me, that can't be the heaven. That if that's so great to me, when I see that heaven must be that much better. And then it makes me understand why there are verses like, those who are last shall be first. Because then it makes sense to me. Because down here, even though you're serving man, you serve God. And you go to work every day knowing that every time people mistreat you, or don't give you fair rights or whatever, that you're still working to God, and that he sees all that, and that you almost chalk those things up for the other side. I had a pastor that once dared to talk a lot about heaven, and because there's a book by Randy Alcorn called Heaven, and it's really, I had to look up all kinds of words as I was reading. I had to have like a dictionary right next to it, and I'm still not all the way through it, and I lost that book along the way somewhere, so I never did get to finish it. But it removes every single scripture in the Bible about heaven and puts them all together, and then tries to kind of insinuate or imagine what that might mean, and what that might, and try to paint a picture from those scripture. And it seems really great. And when you suffer a lot for a long time, then you understand, because it's not like any of us could ever deserve that. No one could. But you feel that you've at least earned it, or at least gives you hope when you're being treated like that in the moment, to not snap. Because for me, someone like me, I don't want to tolerate. It doesn't matter what you have or what position of authority. I am a human being, and you are not going to treat me like that. That is my attitude. I will walk out of this job. I will whatever it's going to take, because it is for damn sure this is not going to go down. Not this bitch, not this day, no way. That's my flesh, my attitude, and it's built up. It's pent up. It's not without cause. A person there is a reason someone gets angry and upset and acts out. Desperation, lack of options, lack of someone to care, having emotions, awareness, conscious, all these things, that we're built with naturally. We're not machines, and to force people into being machines is such a scary thing. And then when I see, what they really focus on in the law today, this modern day law, it's all to do, like, people who steal spend way more time than people who murder. And my friend randomly Googled that there had never been a certain kind of president before, a Jewish president. And I'm daring, but really scared to say it, but it's my true response. What I said to him was, of course not. I mean, no one would put their face out there who's really behind the Oz's curtain doing this. They would put someone else out there who's willing to do it, who can do it, and that would be like me, instead of myself saying these things, paying someone else to do it, to take the shot. Because everybody blames Obama, when they might have just, it's a theory, used Obama's true desire for change and hope, and then we don't know what happened behind the curtain, because everything is set up in such a way that they can make it so he can't really do any of those things, and they know we'll all hate him because of it. And I don't know that for a fact, obviously, but I'm just saying, like, things like Monsanto go through, and you think all these things, and then Obamacare, it's like those two things right there oppose each other. Like, I grew up in a farmland. Like, they didn't need to spray chemicals and shit. I remember when the planes would come and spray chemicals when I got old. Like, that's the farmers that it wasn't about, it was like fertilizing. It was like cultivating the land. There wasn't oversized fruit, injecting shit into shit to make it different. And like, I look at the ingredients of things when I shop, and I'm like, what is all this shit I can't pronounce? Like, I sure as fuck, when I make all this stuff, it's natural. Like, I don't have any of that stuff I get out of my cabinet and squirt things into to make it taste a certain way. It just tastes that way on its own. Like, we interfered so much with a system already in place. It's bananas. And then I think it's funny that they allowed us credit, like a certain level of credit, and then that started it too, because when I got my first Who's Who Among American high school students, that my mom put me in this book, and like, I got my first credit card, and I ruined it right away. I went shopping. I mean, it was the first time. I admit I haven't been the most responsible type. But then, so right there I shot myself. But from there, credit builds, and like you have these things that you need, and you don't want them to come take away from you. So even if you want to change, you can't. And out of that frustration and doing what everyone else is doing, I feel like that's why I get the hate sometimes, is because I'm like trying. But it's because I'm trying to make a difference for them too, because they can't leave and I can, and I have already lost everything, so I might as well say something, kind of a place. And so rather than supporting, even if quietly, they want to make me self-conscious and doubt and be scared and and doubt and make me want to erase everything. And I'm already this far in, and I have to at least complete it and get to a point. And I hope it's sooner than later. That's why I'm trying to put as much time into it as possible, to be able to get to film, the video letter to congressmen and to big business and people who I feel we don't have access to, and who never listen to us, who their decision making is really affecting. And our hands and feet have done the work for them for a long time. Just because I'm not working right now, it doesn't mean I wasn't juggling a lot or didn't do a lot for a long time. Even though if they didn't pay a lot, jobs, or they were kind of jobs they didn't pay a lot, or they weren't significant as deemed by society, they were still significant to the people who hired me, so that's what I'm saying about the price tags being off, the labels being off, and if we're gonna call spades spades, and we're gonna keep people accountable for mistakes, and we're all supposed to be one, and we're all supposed to be represented, and we're all of value and have minds for ourselves to think, then we all have ideas and ways that could make things better, because the hands and feet that are doing it have the hands-on front row seat to what's going on, so they confront problems in their job, and they have ideas and ways to fix it, and they have a suggestion box isn't going to do it, because you can't have someone that's a pulley, a nut and a bolt in your machine, who is producing what is making you so is causing this gap that we have no bridge to, that you've basically burned the bridge for us to be able to get to you. I've burned bridges, but it's just by trying to say and do the things that I'm talking about like this, you know, and that's not me burning the bridge. That's you giving me a rope to hang myself. So it's, you know, for me, I know I'm not as educated, but again, I'm a product of your system. And, you know, I'm just going with what makes sense, not dollars and cents. And there's a part in the Bible where God and money are both capitalized, and it says you can't serve one and the other both, and you can't love one and you'll love one and hate the other is the point. So how can I hate something and be a Christian and believe in the same Bible that so many others in this country do, and not see how that is hypocrisy when people don't have freedom to just be who they are and do what they do and connect with other people who need those things. Like in Africa, like they need a community to accomplish everything. Everyone's required because of the type of economy it takes to make things go around. And you know, even though I went to the capital city of Kigali, like, and other people went to the more jungle rural parts, which it would be even more so like that. And I only went to those parts to do, like, when we would set up the big things to show the Jesus film. You know, and we were encouraged not to give them money because they didn't want to mix up the message between what is God and what is money. And it's difficult to do that when you see that, but it's still over there on an economy like ours now that's starting. So they still need money to buy those things. If it wasn't, like if they just needed education and needed a start with tools to be able to connect with one another and barter, like that would be one thing. But because they still need money, it's difficult to you know, send this message and to know that money is making its way everywhere, to, you know, across the world. It's present. So how do you have an exchange rate of something that people are required to survive, but then back something that says that God, you know, supplies these things and that we can survive, you know, by our faith in God, because Jesus already paid for all the mistakes. So that was supposed to wipe out the law, yet we are serving the law. So then when it's convenient for the law, we say it's separation of church and state and religion. But yet all these super PACs are ability to hide where money and funding that do campaigns that give us our candidates and our options of people to choose. And we trust these people and see that they clearly don't make the decisions they always say from the front end. And since we can't vote on individual policy that makes a difference, that does give everyone a voice and a representation, then how are we supposed to honor this as a religion at all? Because even the people who claim to be, you know, we throwing, you know, giving 10%, tithing and offering, so tithing 10% and offering even more so than that into something that builds really awesome amenities for the people who go to that church and, you know, believe in the same way that they do. But you know, the church was the idea of just, you know, when people come over and we talk about the Bible, that's church. That's, you know, the life groups that people break down into, that's church too. And then, like, you know, serving the people in your neighborhood, and there's always people needing help. There's no shortage of people needing help, either by your time to help with them move or paint or, you know, anything. You're supposed to kind of, and in the old days, they pooled the resources and then just took from the, I mean, they don't focus on that much, but there, I'll find it, and when I'm not trying to get it through a video, but where they pooled all their resources and then took as there was need, as someone needed out of the pool. So it didn't matter what you earned or what your price tag was or what your value was, because everyone knew their roles were necessary. They all just took from this pool as there was need. So today, you know, it said, even though it says all throughout here to give to the needy, and even if the enemy asks for your coat, give them something else too. That you're, even if you don't agree with a person, you're supposed to do all this stuff. All these things that are also in this very same book, you know, that doesn't seem to be happening. I don't, because I went and had my hands out like you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to ask for help, and the certain times I've had to do that, it was more receptive when I was playing that game. Because inside in my head, I knew I was playing the game, but I wasn't. I knew it was based on my comfort level. And at a certain point, yes, it did take me getting so sick of myself and being two different people, and how I was reading one thing in here and it was seeming to be such another situation, and it's and there, and my help and support and the people in my life, all of that depended on that. So when I finally popped, and it wasn't necessarily on purpose, but once you expose yourself, you're done. I felt free, because when I get angry and I just talk a million miles an hour, and it almost is, I laugh at myself I catch anything on video when I'm doing that, because it's like I finally say everything I've been pent up thinking for so long. It finally comes out in rapid speed, and I feel so much better. But even though it just was at the cost of everything that, kept my life pretty much going okay. So I get why certain people, wouldn't even want to listen to me or watch my videos. But for the people who are feeling me and going through the same thing, then, it isn't, I have to constantly remind myself it's not for nothing. This isn't for nothing. We're on the right side. It says in here that we are. Well, this isn't the side we're playing for. It's clear. If it were, we would be the ones in the city with nice streets and things being, not saying just myself, but everyone, them too. It's not like, they can't, it's not an either or, like somebody has to have all the best stuff and somebody doesn't. It's that if everyone is useful and we're all having a place, no matter what role it is, and we're all producing like that, then we can all have it. It's when you only let certain things at certain price levels that only some people can afford, the same people that you hire are ironically the same at the high, salary rates are the same people who can afford the best shit. Then of course, that's going to only be the same one set of people. But if everyone is a part of that and can have a role, and then we can, or at least team up with each other and try to make nice shit too, and the tools and abilities and education and things that we need to be able to do that. And that requires time that we can't be completely tricked out of and it's sucked out of in 100,000 small ways. That's why I don't return texts or spend a lot of time gabbing on the phone, telling the same shit to different people, because we all talk about the same stuff. I don't have time for that anymore. It was sucked up in other things, and now that I have to fight to continue to have this time, I've had to finally get this clarity that I found that nobody gets a chance to find, because I bet if you went out to the woods for a year, you'd be a totally different being, and that's what I feel like I did. So I'm just trying to figure out which is it, separation of church and state, or together, or is it the same? Because in this book, it was pretty much the same. Now it seems behind the curtains that they are all kind of connected, but it's separation they claim. And then in the social circles I go around, because I can get into different ones. It's not all, I don't hang out with all the same type of people. So I definitely recognize that we can't all be different types of cookies living on the same plate. It has to be like this survival of the fittest, dog eat dog, type of mentality. When I get up into a plane and look at things, there's so much land and there's so much opportunity and space, and then we're all fucking piled on each other. Trying to say or, and it's and. Has been and for a long time. And then there's always a new game, a new way to, because you call me lazy and entitled because I'm unwilling to go serve you right now, because I fucking am just I won't do it. You will have to kill me. You will have to, it's getting kidnapped or raped or any really awful thing. That's now how I see it, going back into it. Even going into a Starbucks interview, because I used to work for Starbucks, that was going to be my next option, because I realized I lost my mind over the government thing, started posting these videos. I was trying to become a substitute teacher. There was a snag in that process because I, said that I had been convicted of a misdemeanor for a DUI back in 2008, and then there was a legal review process, and it's still pending right now. But now that I come out with this, I can't hardly be a teacher, and even though I'm completely fine as I smoke, and I think I've demonstrated the ability, demonstrated that fact, I think I would be a good teacher. I can't now do that. So I just realized today with the interview, the second time, like yesterday, I felt the same way. And today I'm like, I feel even more so the same way about it. Is like, I'm not, I understand people are far deeper into it, but I can't do it. And so if something happens to me, don't say, oh, it's sad. She should have seen a counselor. She should have got medication. She should have stopped smoking weed, or she should have done this or that or the other thing. Like, I think if you continue to watch my videos, however many it takes, however much I'm able to finally get out there and feel comfortable with exposing without, feeling I've given too much of myself, because there's still a great deal of myself that's private, even though it looks like there isn't. I have so many sides of myself, so many things that lie dormant that I don't even tap into until I'm around certain people. It's all about the chemistry and the environment and the people that I'm around that kind of conditions who I am. Because my personality right now is certainly, I am so silly and retarded, and I have so many, because I don't take myself seriously. I take these topics seriously when I'm doing things that are serious. I take serious matters serious, and when I'm not being serious, I'm not at all serious. And because I understand what the Bible is saying, I understand the freedom. So I just hope, as many examples as I can make and as it takes to just that will work in awakening people. And even if they can't still really do anything about it, that at least they'll feel in their mind that, because it wouldn't matter. We could just wait it out. I mean, who knows how many years I'll live here? It's still nothing in comparison with eternity. So even if it is a prison sentence, it sucks. And that's why I'm willing to risk it, because ultimately that's the worst case scenario. Either I die, or I end up, disturbing the peace or something, getting arrested for that, something stupid, something that they want me to shut up, basically, make me shut up. I got to be willing to do that, because I believe that it could be much, better for everyone if we would come back to a negotiation table where everyone walks away winning. And it's not like we feel like both sides are like, we just got a deal. I don't want to feel like I got a deal, because that means I feel like I just, pulled one over on them a little bit. If we all feel like that's fair and everyone's winning, then, and it's possible, because it's just, all that was wrong in the Bible was people feeling entitled over other people and not wanting to do work for themselves, because that's all. Because when I'm telling you, when I've gone and been around, wealthier people, they have way more time and way more flexibility. So they end up with the time and the money, and they don't want us to see how they really live. So now they play this game like they don't have any money, like they're broke too. And like the economy hurt everyone. Oh, what? Did you lose a home in another country, or did you take one less vacation, or one less charter jet or something? Like, it depends on how it affected you. Yes, it affected everyone, but think about the people on this percentage that you need in the world, because you want them to go serve you and do everything for you, because you don't do anything for yourself. Everyone does everything for you. You have assistants out the wazoo doing everything for you too, that allows you to have the time and the money. And you keep us oppressed and stuck, so we can't get out of that. And so many different institutions that we go to that are supposed to help us. But it's just the weed, right? I'm just a stoner, and I'm just stupid. And I'm sure you'll pick through hours and hours of babbling off the cuff and pick apart things that you can say that it was a misfact, and check it against 100 facts, and then I could go find facts to back up what I said, and we'd both be comparing facts. Why are they so off? Because someone once upon a time scribbled something down and called it a media and put their name on it, so that made it a fact? People can fucking say anything. Look at any gossip magazine. What's selling right now? Bad news or good news?